You've been tracking the wrong moon phases your entire life, and the one everyone ignores is the most dangerous, the most potent, and the one that actually changes things. Everyone talks about new moon rituals, new moon manifestation, new moon intention setting. But here's what they're not telling you. When most people say new moon, they're actually talking about the dark moon, and they don't even know it. The dark moon is the phase before the crescent appears. It's when the sky is actually black. No sliver of light. No hint of reflection. Total absence. This is the true void, the moment when the moon has completely disappeared from view and you're standing in pure astronomical darkness. And this is where the real magic lies. Nature abhors a vacuum. You know this instinctively. That gap, that emptiness, that complete and utter nothing, it pulls. It demands to be filled. Ancient practitioners understood this distinction with absolute precision, and it's exactly why their rituals worked. They weren't setting intentions in the light. They weren't whispering wishes to a visible crescent. They were planting seeds in absolute darkness, in the fertile void where potential hasn't chosen a form yet. You've been doing your new moon work when the first sliver appears, when the universe has already made its choice, when the energy is already building outward. And you've been wondering why it feels flat. Performative. Like you're just going through motions instead of touching something that transforms you from the inside out. The dark moon doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't perform. It devours, composts, and creates space for what's actually trying to be born. Here's what nobody tells you about the waxing crescent. It feels absolutely terrible. You've set your intention at the new moon. You're supposed to be taking action now, but you can't see the full picture yet. You're walking into a room that's still mostly dark, hands out, trying not to trip over furniture you know is there but can't quite locate. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. And that discomfort is the entire point. The ritual here isn't vision boards or affirmations or any of that aspirational energy. It's committing to one small, uncomfortable thing that proves you're actually serious. Something that costs you something. Time, pride, the safety of staying still. Historically, this was the pledge phase. You made a binding promise to yourself or your gods, something with real consequences attached. Not a wish. A vow. If you're sailing through the waxing crescent feeling good and inspired, I'm going to say something harsh. You're not actually doing anything that matters. Real movement creates resistance. Your nervous system fights change. The parts of you invested in the old story start throwing tantrums. That friction you're feeling, that's not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's the proof you're doing something real. 1 week in, the moon reaches first quarter, half lit, half dark, a perfect vertical line down the middle. In the sky, it's geometrically flawless. A 90-degree angle. In your life, it's a brick wall. This is when everything you started at the new moon gets tested. Hard. The energy you had 7 days ago? It's gone. The clarity? Mudded. The momentum? Stalled. You hit resistance and it feels personal. Witches call this the decision moon, and that name isn't poetic, it's literal. You're forced to choose. Push through or give up. Keep going or quietly let it fade. And here's the thing most people never realize. They give up here without even knowing it. They don't dramatically quit. They just stop showing up. They tell themselves they'll get back to it later. They won't. Real ritual for this phase isn't candles and intention setting. It's confrontation magic. You're naming the block, the fear, the person, the pattern that's standing in your way. And then you're doing something about it. You're speaking it out loud, writing it down and burning it, having the conversation you've been avoiding. This isn't the fun part of moon magic, and that's exactly why it's essential. Growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable and inspired. It happens under pressure. The first quarter moon is that pressure. And if you meet it, if you push back, the second half of the cycle becomes something else entirely. The waxing gibbous moon is almost full. Almost. And that single word will either make or break your entire working. You're so close you can taste it. The moon's swollen with light. Your ritual's been building momentum, and every fiber of you wants to claim victory right now. But you can't. Not yet. This is where most people abandon ship, right at the threshold, because impatience is a killer and the gibbous phase demands something we're terrible at, waiting while you work. Here's what's actually happening. You're not in the pushing phase anymore. You've moved into refinement. This is where you adjust, course correct, make it better instead of just bigger. You're sanding down the rough edges of what you've been building since the new moon. It's not glamorous. It doesn't feel like magic. But it is. The ancient mystery schools knew this. They used the gibbous moon for initiation prep, the final tests, the last purifications before the candidates stood in the full moon's revelation. You had to prove you could hold steady in the almost, in the not yet. The ritual here is patience magic, which sounds boring and sounds easy and is actually the hardest thing you'll do all month. Because you're building something you can't see yet, something that isn't finished, and you have to trust that the final light is coming. The full moon amplifies everything. Which means if you've been lying to yourself all month about what you want, what you're avoiding, what's actually working, this is where it gets loud. Unavoidable. The full moon doesn't just spotlight your magic. It spotlights your delusions too. Yes, it's powerful for charging and releasing. Absolutely. But it's also when people do the most ungrounded, performative magic because the energy feels so available. So electric. You think you can just show up, light a candle, and demand results you didn't build. The full moon doesn't work like that. It's not a vending machine. It's a mirror. Real full moon work is gratitude and completion. You're harvesting what actually grew, not what you wished would grow. Not the fantasy version. The real, messy, imperfect thing you tended through the dark and the waxing. This is where you acknowledge effort. Where you release what didn't root. Where you say thank you to the cycle itself. If your full moon ritual feels desperate or manic, you're trying to force something that wasn't built during the waxing phases. You're trying to materialize 15 days of work in one night. And the moon will let you spin out. She'll give you all that frantic energy and watch you burn through it. Or, and this is the better part, you can meet her with honesty. With presence. With the willingness to see what's actually there. Here's what nobody tells you about the waning moon. It's not a come down. It's not the moon's way of saying thanks for playing. See you next month. The waning gibbous through that final sliver of Crescent. That's when the real work happens. This is when you're supposed to actively dismantle what didn't work. Not just release it with some vague intention and a white candle. I mean, take it apart. Understand why it failed. See where you gave your power away, where you lied to yourself, where you kept feeding something that should have starved 3 months ago. This is banishing season. Cord cutting season. I'm done being nice to this pattern season. And it's more powerful than most full moon work because you're working with momentum, not against it. The moon is already in the act of disappearing. You're not trying to force something to leave. You're joining something that's already in motion. There's a reason the last crescent before the dark moon is called the crone phase. Wisdom isn't earned by lighting candles and manifesting. It's earned by seeing, clearly and without flinching, what you're walking away from. And if you skip this part, if you rush from full moon to new moon like it's all just vibes and intention, you're going to rebuild the same problems next cycle with a new coat of paint. The waning moon is where you get honest. And honestly, that's the only magic that actually sticks. The moon doesn't care if you believe in it. It's pulling oceans across the planet right now. It's pulling something in you, too. The only question is whether you're going to work with that or keep pretending you're separate from it. Follow Blackfire Atelier. I'll see you in the shadows.